We have breaking news. A New York appeals court has thrown out a $500 million fine in a civil fraud case against President Trump, his family, and his company. The court upheld a lower judge's ruling that found Trump liable of fraud by inflating his wealth to secure better business deals, but called the monetary penalty of more than $515 million excessive. Chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky is here with more. So, Aaron, what went into this decision?
This is a 323-page opinion from the Appellate Division's First Department, and the judges are not in agreement here, but it appears they have found that after a 3-month trial, the judge, this was a bench trial, the judge, Arthur Engoron, correctly found that Trump, his eldest sons, and his business perpetrated a decade's worth of business fraud by hyping the value of Trump's assets.
Hi everyone, Adam is here. So this has just happened. The viral rumor of Donald Trump having a secret $340 million Swiss bank account is unfounded. It's a mix-up or exaggeration, often tied to unrelated scandals or old fraud judgments, like the $350 million civil fraud case, with no verified evidence or recent federal judge order demanding explanation for hidden personal accounts.
Oh, the deadline is here for Donald Trump to post a nearly $500 million bond in his civil fraud case.
Marilyn Rivera live in Washington with more on other legal issues he's facing today. Marilyn, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Bob and Jen. So that's right, the 30-day grace period for him to pay up the nearly $500 million bond in his New York civil fraud case ends today. If he can't pay, he risks having his assets seized and bank accounts frozen. But there's also another development regarding his hush money payments case. What is documented? Switzerland's National Bank, a government-linked entity, legally bought millions in Trump Media and Technology Group shares, e.g. 1.28 million in 2024, later up to 5 million, raising ethical concerns about foreign investment in Trump's business while in office. But no judge has ordered Trump to explain secret accounts tied to this.
Major breaking news from New York with that jaw-dropping number, $453,500,000. That is the amount Judge Arthur Engoron has ruled Donald Trump has to pony up in his New York civil fraud case, which includes nearly $100 million in interest. That number will continue to grow until he pays. And if that was not enough to ruin Trump's weekend plans, Engoron also ruled that Trump is barred from personally running a business in New York for the next 3 years. Yes, the man who built his whole brand around being a successful and wealthy businessman and real estate tycoon has been hit with an unimaginable fine. Engoron's ruling also hit the elder Trump sons, fining Eric Trump and Donald Trump $4 million apiece and fining Trump's longtime business manager, Alan Weisselberg, $1 million.
The story appears amplified by misinformation online. Let me take you through what actually triggered this legal scrutiny, because it's not what the viral posts would have you believe. The story started with a judge in a financial disclosure case, one of the many legal battles Trump is fighting over his tangled business empire. Somewhere in the process of reviewing documents, the judge became aware of something that should have been obvious to everyone for years. Swiss financial institutions, including the Swiss National Bank, which is essentially Switzerland's version of the Federal Reserve, have been investing in Trump's businesses, not through secret accounts, not through shell companies, through open market purchases of Trump Media shares, the company behind Truth Social. The Swiss National Bank bought nearly $2 million worth. Zurich's cantonal bank holds shares as well. This is not hidden. This is not a conspiracy. This is public information that has been sitting there in securities filings, waiting for someone to connect the dots. And here is why this matters. When foreign government-connected banks start investing in a sitting president's private company, you have to ask questions. You have to ask whether those investments create conflicts of interest. You have to ask whether policy decisions are being influenced by the financial health of Trump's businesses. You have to ask whether foreign entities are gaining leverage over the American president through his stock portfolio. These are not hypothetical concerns. These are the exact scenarios that the emoluments clause of the Constitution was designed to prevent. The clause prohibits the president from receiving payments or benefits from foreign governments without congressional consent. And if Swiss government-connected banks are pumping money into Trump's company, that looks a whole lot like a foreign government benefiting the president financially. Now, let me address the $340 million elephant in the room. The number did not come from new bank records or leaked documents about Trump. It came from a completely different scandal involving the sons of former Egyptian dictator Hosni Mubarak. Back in 2011, Swiss authorities froze exactly $340 million belonging to Mubarak's family. It was a huge international story. And somewhere along the line, someone took that number, attached it to Trump, and watched it go viral. The number sounded specific, which made it sound credible. It was big enough to be scandalous, but not so big that it seemed impossible. And it fit perfectly into the narrative that people already believed about Trump and foreign money. So it spread. The reality is both less dramatic and more complicated than the rumor. There is no smoking gun showing Trump personally hiding $340 million in a Swiss vault. But there is a smoking gun showing that foreign government-connected banks are investors in his media company. That is not a rumor. That is not speculation. That is documented in securities filings that anyone can look up. And the judge wants to know whether Trump has been transparent about these foreign ties, whether he has properly disclosed them, whether he has taken steps to avoid conflicts of interest, and whether the American people have been told the truth about the foreign money flowing into his business empire. Trump's history with international banking is long and complicated. Before he was president, American banks wouldn't touch him. He had filed for bankruptcy multiple times. He had defaulted on loans. He had a reputation as a risky borrower. So he went to Deutsche Bank, the German financial giant that was willing to lend him money when no one else would. Deutsche Bank lent him billions. Deutsche Bank processed transactions that its own compliance department flagged as suspicious, and Deutsche Bank became the financial foundation of Trump's business empire. Now we are seeing a similar pattern with Swiss institutions. When Trump needed capital for his media company, foreign investors stepped in. When he needed to take his company public, foreign money helped make it happen. And when you look at the whole picture, you start to see a president whose financial survival depends on foreign capital. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is the documented reality of Trump's business career. So, what is the judge actually ordering? The specifics are still emerging, but the core demand is straightforward. Trump must explain his financial relationships with Swiss institutions. He must disclose any foreign investments in his businesses that could create conflicts of interest. He must provide documentation about where the money is coming from and whether he has been transparent about it. And he must do it under oath, with the penalty of perjury hanging over his head. This is not a fishing expedition. This is a judge looking at public records, seeing foreign government money flowing into Trump's company, and asking the obvious question, what is going on here? The viral rumor about the $340 million account is a distraction. It is the kind of shiny object that pulls attention away from the actual story. And that is dangerous because the actual story matters. The actual story is that foreign government-connected banks are investing in the sitting president's business. The actual story is that the emoluments clause, a constitutional provision designed to prevent exactly this kind of foreign entanglement, is being tested in ways the founders never imagined. The actual story is that Trump's financial conflicts have never been resolved, they have never been fully disclosed, they have never been properly investigated, and now a judge is forcing the issue. Let me be clear about what this judge is not ordering. The judge is not ordering Trump to explain a secret $340 million account because that account likely does not exist. The judge is not validating the viral rumor. The judge is not confirming that Trump has hidden money in Switzerland. What the judge is doing is looking at documented foreign investments in Trump's businesses and demanding transparency. That is a very different thing. But in the current information environment, the difference gets lost. The viral rumor and the actual legal proceeding get mashed together. People hear that a judge is demanding answers about Swiss money, and they assume the wildest claims must be true. Trump's defenders are already spinning this as proof that the legal system is being weaponized against him. They are pointing to the viral rumor, which they know is false, and using it to discredit the legitimate questions the judge is asking. They are saying, see, this is all made up. There is no $340 million. The judge is chasing a fantasy. But that is a deflection. The judge is not chasing a fantasy. The judge is looking at documented foreign investments and asking legitimate questions about transparency and conflicts of interest. And by conflating the viral rumor with the actual legal proceeding, Trump's defenders are trying to make the whole thing disappear. They are trying to turn legitimate scrutiny into a conspiracy theory. And it is working because too many people are already confused about what is real and what is not. So let me lay out what we actually know. We know that Swiss government-connected banks have purchased shares in Trump's media company. We know that those purchases are documented in public securities filings. We know that foreign money flowing into a president's business raises serious constitutional and ethical questions. We know that Trump has a long history of complicated international financial dealings that have never been fully explained. We know that a judge is now ordering Trump to provide answers about these foreign investments. That is what we know. That is the story. Not the $340 million rumor, not the secret Swiss account. The story is about documented foreign money, legal but ethically fraught, flowing into the business of a sitting president. And that story is not going away just because someone attached a fake number to it. Now here is the deeper problem. The viral rumor, even though it is false, is going to shape how people understand this story. People are going to remember the $340 million number. They are going to associate it with Trump and Swiss banks and corruption. And when the truth comes out, when the judge's order is resolved, when the documents are produced, people are going to be confused. They are going to think, wait, I thought there was $340 million. Where did that go? And the real issues, the documented foreign investments, the emoluments clause violations, the conflicts of interest, all of that is going to get lost in the noise. That is how misinformation works. It doesn't just spread falsehoods. It makes it harder for the truth to be understood even when it is sitting right there in front of us. The judge's order is a reminder that the truth matters, that legal proceedings are supposed to be based on evidence, not rumors, that a viral social media post is not a substitute for a verified bank record, that we have to demand more than just a sensational headline before we accept something as fact. And that even when the sensational headline is false, the underlying story might still be worth paying attention to. Because the underlying story here is that foreign government-connected banks are investing in the president's business. That is real. That is documented. That is concerning. And that is what the judge is actually investigating. So what happens next? Trump will have to respond to the judge's order. He will have to provide documents, testify under oath, explain his financial relationships with Swiss institutions. His lawyers will try to delay, obfuscate, claim privilege. They will point to the viral rumor and say the whole thing is a witch hunt. But the judge is not asking about the viral rumor. The judge is asking about documented facts. And eventually, those facts are going to have to be addressed. Maybe the explanation is simple. Maybe the Swiss investments are routine, arm's-length transactions that have no bearing on Trump's policy decisions. Maybe everything is above board and the only scandal is that people believed a fake story. That is possible. But the only way to know is to get the answers. And that is what the judge is demanding. Or maybe the answers are more complicated. Maybe the Swiss investments are part of a pattern of foreign money flowing into Trump's orbit. Maybe there are connections that have never been disclosed. Maybe the judge's order opens a door that Trump has been trying to keep closed for years. And maybe that is why his defenders are so desperate to conflate this with a fake rumor. Because if people think this is about a debunked viral story, they will stop paying attention. They will stop asking questions. They will let the real issues slide. And Trump can go back to doing what he has always done, running a business empire entangled with foreign money while serving as President of the United States. This is the moment where we have to decide what kind of information environment we want to live in. Do we want to chase viral rumors that feel true but aren't? Do we want to let sensational headlines distract us from documented facts? Do we want to be so focused on the fake scandal that we miss the real one? Or do we want to demand more? Do we want to separate what is verified from what is claimed? Do we want to pay attention to the boring, complicated, documented reality even when it doesn't fit into a tidy headline? The choice is ours. And the consequences matter. Because if we keep falling for viral rumors, keep spreading unverified claims, keep letting the truth get lost in the noise, we are not just hurting our ability to hold power accountable. We are making it impossible for anyone to know what is real. And in a democracy, that is a death sentence. The judge's order is not the bombshell that some people wanted. It is not proof of a secret $340 million fortune. It is not the final nail in Trump's political coffin. But it is something. It is a judge looking at documented facts and demanding answers. It is a legal system trying to function in an information environment that is designed to make it impossible. It is a reminder that the truth, boring and complicated as it often is, still matters, and that we have to be willing to look for it, even when it is not packaged in a viral headline. So pay attention to what happens next. Watch how Trump responds to the judge's order. Watch whether he provides the documents, testifies under oath, explains the foreign investments. Watch whether his lawyers try to hide behind the viral rumor, claiming the whole thing is a fantasy. Watch whether the media separates the real story from the fake one. Watch whether we as citizens can hold two ideas in our heads at once, that the $340 million rumor is false, and that the documented foreign investments still deserve scrutiny. And if we cannot do that, if we keep chasing rumors and ignoring reality, then we are going to get exactly what we deserve. A politics of nothing but noise, a democracy that cannot function, a country where no one knows what is real and no one cares enough to find out. That is the choice, and it is happening right now, in this story, in this moment. The judge ordered Trump to explain himself. The viral rumor says there is $340 million in secret Swiss accounts. The truth is somewhere in between. The question is whether we are willing to find it.